Look, absolutely purely in a numbers sense from the GfK survey, we know that there are over 500,000 15 to 24-year-olds tuning into commercial radio in this country every week. And look, there has been a small decline in the amount of time they spend with radio, but by and large, it's still a really powerful channel to access youth. As you've seen from the guys' presentations here, the way we're engaging with them is changing. So social and video is obviously massively important now. I don't know if you guys have been inside a radio studio recently. It certainly looks a lot different from when Leon was singing Donning the Dolphin. It is. 30 years ago. You know, they now pretty much resemble TV studios with cameras everywhere and you know, lighting rigs on the roof to make the guys look good. What we're essentially trying to do to engage with youth is just build big, powerful brands and have multiple touch points so that wherever the audience is, we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, a lot of chat about driverless cars and you know, obviously we've also got connected cars, which is probably going to happen a lot sooner with 5G coming through, was it, I think, the end of this year, next year definitely, and that seems to be a real change. I think, as Mike has said, you know, at the moment we've got our FM and we've got our AM band, and that's a linear product that we're delivering out there, but then there is so much more to that we're starting to develop as well, whether it be through iHeart or through Rover, which is just really a delivery platform. And the challenge for us is going to be continuing to come up with new and exciting ways of getting entertainment out there, and obviously then how do we get advertisers to then, you know, sync in with all of that.
The other technological advancement that's actually going to impact way quicker than driverless cars is the smart speakers in the homes, which you know, has been a massive Christmas gift in the States last year, and I would suspect will be a really desirable Christmas, you know, present for young people this year coming up. And you know, that's why we are about creating big brands, because we need to be able to say, hey, Amazon Alexa, play me ZM, which if you go and buy one today in New Zealand, you actually can do that. We've got a skill which is like an app on Alexa, so if you say play me ZM, it will. So I think that's where we're going to go, is, you know, those are going to bring radio back into the home, which, you know, no kids are going out to buy a transistor radio these days, but they certainly will want a smart speaker.
Well, as I've spoken about, we offer multiple niche audiences and multiple mass audiences. We have the ability to deliver a message to your consumers within an hour. We can have something live on air, we can have something across our social channels, across our digital channels. Dynamic content, as we've spoken about, is all about you having the strength and belief in your own brand to be able to align it with our brands, to be able to deliver really engaged content, so that we have to always think outside of that 15 or 30-second ad or that just tagging promo that we roll out. We have more flexibility to drive engaging content than any other form of media. You can get that on radio and you can talk to people instantly. So that's the beauty and flexibility of radio.
We recently did a study last year, the Auckland study, and you know, 40% of Aucklanders now have lived here less than 10 years, and of that, 50% were born overseas. So that, you know, the population of New Zealand is changing rapidly, as is particularly in this market. And so, you know, both networks have affiliations now with other stations. So we have a very strong affiliation with Radio Tirana, obviously talking to the Indian community. And they play a huge role, and they have an incredibly loyal audience that talk directly to those brands. And so we're constantly exploring, you know, what are the opportunities for us to partner with the likes of the Radio Tiranas, or to get more hyper-local into certain communities. I think we'll continue to evolve those things, and one of the beauties about radio is, you know, as much as you've heard about dynamic content and the way we go to market, the business model itself is quite agile, so we're always looking at opportunities in the market, and where we don't have audience, how do we get there, and how do we partner, and how do we bring them into the broader radio family.
And we're looking mainly at, from a digital perspective, through iHeartRadio to deliver diverse audiences, and then we're also looking at podcasting as well. So we're not looking at potentially launching linear diverse stations, but we're certainly looking at generating content, podcasts, and potentially putting digital versions onto iHeart.
And a lot of that audience is speaking English, therefore they actually are consuming a lot of our mainstream brands anyway. And we see that in the figures coming out. I mean, stations like My and Flavour obviously really playing to that, to the Pacific side, and Plus and Radio and TRB represent. You've got Māori Radio, you know, and the Pacific media. So there's a lot of other options out there to reach that audience. And to Glen's point, I think, you know, I often call, you know, radio is a cockroach to me of all media, and I mean that in a fantastic way. And, you know, the cockroach is the one thing that's supposed to survive the nuclear war. Maybe media has been in the nuclear war, and actually radio is still surviving, in fact thriving in it, mainly because I think that our overall cost of delivery is really low. It's a really good price point. Digital allows us to do that as well. I went into some studios over in Australia that 3 years ago were basically not getting used, and now they were full of podcasters in Australia, and they were just recording their shows. And I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see commercial broadcasters partnering up with new people coming through, like I was talking about the new influencers, and giving them access to an audience that maybe would be smaller, but with our brand and with our reach, we can actually give a much more mainstream or a much larger reach to that audience. And I think that's really important for us to continue pushing into those territories here.